Welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be looking into financial literacy in the USA. And for this one, we're going to be pulling from a podcast episode you shared called Money Talks, Why Financial Literacy is a Must in the USA. One of the things that really stood out to me is this stat that only about 1/3 of Americans can answer basic financial literacy questions correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of wild, right?
It is. It's surprising, isn't it? And I think when you consider the potential impact of that, it really underscores why we're having this conversation today.
Totally. So to start, let's just level set, right? What does it actually mean to be financially literate?
I think for a lot of people, they think it's just about balancing a checkbook, but it's so much more than that. It's about understanding how money works, from budgeting and saving to investing, credit scores, managing debt, and even taxes. It's about having the knowledge and the skills to make informed financial decisions, not just hoping for the best, but really understanding the ins and outs.
So it's like having a financial GPS to navigate all the twists and turns.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
Instead of just reacting to things.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It's about moving from a reactive approach to money management to a proactive one. And that can make a huge difference.
Okay, so you mentioned it's more than just balancing a checkbook. Let's dive into some of the specific areas of financial literacy. And I think a good place to start is budgeting.
Okay.
The B word.
Yeah, it does have a little bit of a bad rap, doesn't it? But budgeting doesn't have to be restrictive or complicated. Really, it's just about understanding where your money is going and making conscious choices about how you want to spend it.
So I've heard that budgeting apps can be really helpful for kind of getting a handle on your spending habits. You mentioned Mint and YNAB. What's the difference between those two?
They're both great resources, but they approach budgeting a bit differently. Mint is excellent for providing a comprehensive overview of your finances. It'll automatically track your transactions and categorize your spending, so it gives you a really clear picture of where your money is going.
So it's like a financial dashboard, right?
Exactly. Now, YNB, which stands for You Need a Budget, takes a little bit more of a proactive approach. It's based on the idea of giving every dollar a job. So you decide upfront how you want to allocate your income needs, wants, savings goals, so that there are no surprises at the end of the month.
That sounds like a really good way to take control and avoid those impulse purchases,
Yeah.
I know I've been guilty of those. So budgeting helps us track and manage our spending. But what about building wealth? That's where things get really interesting, right?
Absolutely, and that's where saving and investing come into play.
Okay, so let's talk about saving first. It's something that, we all know we should be doing, but it can be tough to actually make it happen, right?
Yeah.
Any tips for making saving less of a chore and more of a habit?
One of the most effective things you can do is automate your savings. Set it up so that a portion of your paycheck is automatically transferred into a savings account every month. You can even have it split, maybe part of it goes to a short-term savings account for emergencies. Part of it goes to a long-term account for things like retirement.
So it's like paying yourself first.
Exactly. And that brings us to the magic of compound interest. It's a really powerful force that can turn those small, consistent savings into significant wealth over time. I mean, imagine this. You invest just $100 a month starting at age 25. Thanks to compound interest, you could have over $200,000 by the time you reach 65.
Wow, that really illustrates the power of starting early.
It does.
It's like planting a financial seed and watching it grow into a mighty oak of retirement funds.
Exactly. And the earlier you plant that seed, the more time it has to grow.
Speaking of retirement planning, this kind of connects directly to understanding things like investment options and their potential risks and rewards, right?
Yeah.
Let's dive into that a bit further, shall we? Okay, so let's talk investing. For a lot of people, it can feel really intimidating, especially when you're first starting out. Where do you even begin?
Yeah, you're right. The world of investing can definitely seem overwhelming at first. But remember, you don't have to become a financial expert overnight. I think the key is to just start with the basics and then gradually build your knowledge and your confidence over time.
So where do we even begin with the basics? What are some of those fundamental concepts that everyone should kind of wrap their head around?
One really important concept is diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as the saying goes. Instead, spread your investments across different asset classes like stocks, bonds, and real estate. This helps to reduce risk and potentially increase your returns over time.
Okay, so diversification is about managing risk. What about different investment vehicles? I've heard of things like index funds and mutual funds. What are those and how do they work?
So index funds are actually a type of mutual fund that tracks a specific market index like the S&P 500. They're designed to replicate the performance of that index, offering a low-cost and relatively passive way to invest in a diversified portfolio of stocks.
So it's like investing in the overall market rather than trying to pick individual stocks.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, mutual funds are a little bit broader. They pool money from multiple investors to invest in a diversified portfolio of assets, which could include stocks, bonds, or other securities. And they're managed by professional fund managers, which can be helpful for investors who prefer a more hands-off approach.
So there are options for both like the DIY investors and those who kind of prefer a bit more guidance.
Exactly. And that's kind of the beauty of financial literacy. It empowers you to choose the investment strategies that align with your goals, your risk tolerance, and your level of involvement.
Now, we've been talking a lot about the bright side of financial literacy, but let's flip the coin for a sec. What happens when people lack this knowledge? What are some of the most common struggles that people face?
I've seen firsthand in my work the devastating impact that low financial literacy can have. It can lead to a whole cascade of challenges from mounting debt and just constant financial stress to not being able to save for the future or handle unexpected expenses.
It sounds like a constant uphill battle just trying to stay afloat.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And without that knowledge, without those skills to manage their money effectively, people often find themselves trapped in a cycle of debt, living paycheck to paycheck and feeling powerless to change their circumstances.
And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but that lack of financial literacy can also make people more susceptible to financial scams and predatory lending practices.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Without a solid understanding of financial concepts and warning signs, people can easily fall prey to schemes that promise quick riches or, easy solutions to their debt problems.
It's heartbreaking to think about people losing their hard-earned money simply because they didn't have the tools to protect themselves.
Yeah, and that's why financial literacy is so crucial. It's not just about personal financial well-being. It's about creating a more equitable and just society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive financially.
Now, you mentioned it's not just an individual responsibility. What are some of those systemic issues that kind of contribute to these challenges?
Well, I think we can't ignore the fact that a lot of people face systemic barriers to financial well-being. Things like income inequality, lack of access to affordable housing, and predatory lending practices. All of these can create significant obstacles even for individuals who are financially literate.
So it's not just about teaching people how to budget and save. It's also about addressing the underlying, social and economic factors that create these inequalities.
Exactly. It's a multifaceted issue that requires a really holistic approach. So we need to empower individuals with knowledge and skills, but we also need to advocate for policies and systems that promote financial inclusion and opportunity for everyone.
So it's about individual empowerment and systemic change working hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's shift gears for a bit and talk about a topic that I think is often overlooked in conversations about finances, and that's the emotional side of money. We tend to focus a lot on those practical aspects like budgeting, investing, saving. But our relationship with money runs so much deeper than that, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Our feelings about money are often shaped by, our upbringing, our cultural background, even our past experiences, and all of these emotions can play a huge role in how we manage our finances, often unconsciously.
That's really interesting. So you're saying there are these underlying beliefs and attitudes that could actually sabotage our best financial intentions.
Exactly. They're often referred to as money scripts. These are those subconscious beliefs we develop from childhood about money, about wealth, about worthiness. And these scripts can influence everything from our spending habits to our saving goals to even our investment decisions.
Okay, so how do we become aware of these money scripts and start to, rewrite those negative or limiting beliefs?
Well, the first step is awareness. Just start paying attention to your thoughts and feelings about money. What messages did you receive about money growing up? What are your biggest fears or anxieties related to finances?
It's like holding up a mirror to your financial beliefs and seeing those patterns that maybe you haven't noticed before.
Exactly. And once you become aware of those patterns, you can start to question them. Are these beliefs serving you? Or are they holding you back from achieving your financial goals?
So it's about challenging those limiting beliefs and replacing them with more empowering ones.
Precisely. And this is where self-compassion comes in. It's okay to acknowledge that you might have some negative money scripts. The key is to be curious about them, understand where they came from, and start to rewrite them with more positive and supportive beliefs.
So it's not about beating yourself up for past financial mistakes, but about learning from them and moving forward with a fresh perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are financial therapists and coaches who specialize in helping people unpack their money scripts and develop healthier relationships with money.
As we're talking about this, it makes me think about the broader, societal implications of financial literacy. If more people had access to this knowledge and were empowered to manage their money effectively, wouldn't that have a ripple effect on the economy as a whole?
Absolutely. Imagine a society where everyone was equipped with a solid understanding of financial principles. I think we'd likely see a decrease in predatory lending practices, fewer people trapped in cycles of debt, and a more stable economy overall.
It's like a domino effect, right? Like one person's financial well-being influences another's, and so on and so on. It ripples outward, creating, a stronger foundation for communities and for the nation as a whole.
Precisely. And think about the potential impact on things like retirement security. If people are empowered to save and invest wisely from an early age, it could alleviate some of the strain on social safety nets later in life.
Yeah, it shifts the focus from dependence to self-reliance, giving individuals more control over their financial destinies.
Exactly. It's about fostering a culture of financial responsibility where people are proactive about their finances rather than reactive.
Now, I know we've been focusing on the benefits of increased financial literacy, but are there any, counter-arguments? Are there any potential downsides or unintended consequences we should consider?
That's a great question, and it's important to acknowledge that there are some concerns that have been raised. Some people argue that placing too much emphasis on individual financial literacy could shift the blame away from systemic issues that contribute to financial inequality.
So instead of addressing things like, wage stagnation, rising healthcare costs, or discriminatory lending practices, we're just telling people to budget better.
That's one concern. Others worry that focusing solely on individual responsibility could overshadow the need for stronger consumer protections and regulations.
It's like saying, here's a map, good luck navigating that financial jungle, but ignoring the fact that the jungle itself might be rigged against them.
Precisely. It's a delicate balance, right?
What?
We need to empower individuals with financial knowledge and skills, but we also have to address those broader societal and economic factors that can create barriers to financial well-being.
It's like a two-pronged approach. We need both individual empowerment and systemic change to create a truly equitable financial landscape.
Absolutely. And this is where I think informed public discourse comes in. We need to have those open and honest conversations about the complexities of financial literacy, acknowledging both its potential and its limitations.
Yeah, it's not about pitting individual responsibility against systemic change, but rather recognizing that both are really crucial pieces of the puzzle.
Exactly. And I think this brings us back to, a key takeaway from our deep dive. Financial literacy isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a tool, a powerful tool, but it needs to be wielded within that broader context of social and economic awareness.
So it's about understanding the individual choices we can make, but also advocating for a system that supports financial well-being for everyone.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that financial literacy is not just about personal gain, but also about creating a more just and equitable society for everyone.
Well said. All this talk about financial well-being and creating a better future makes me think about the concept of financial freedom. It's a term we hear a lot. But what does it actually mean?
That's a great question. And I think the answer can vary depending on who you ask. For some, financial freedom might mean having enough wealth to cover their expenses without relying on a job. For others, it might be about having the flexibility to pursue their passions, travel the world, or simply work less.
So it's not just about, having a lot of money,
Yeah.
but about having choices.
Yeah.
It's about being in the driver's seat of your financial life, making decisions that align with your values and your aspirations.
Exactly. It's about feeling empowered to design a life that reflects your priorities, whether that's spending more time with family, pursuing creative endeavors, or making a difference in the world.
Now, that sounds like a definition of financial freedom that I can get behind.
Yeah.
But how does one actually achieve this elusive state of, financial bliss?
Well, there's no magic formula, but I think financial literacy plays a crucial role. It's kind of the foundation upon which you build those choices. It's about understanding the tools and the strategies that allow you to manage your money effectively, grow your wealth, and ultimately create a life of abundance, however you define it.
So it's about aligning your financial life with your values and your goals.
Hmm.
But where do you even begin?
The first step is to define what financial freedom looks like for you. What are your dreams, your goals? What would it feel like to have that true financial autonomy?
It's like creating a vision board for your financial life. What experiences do you want to have? What kind of impact do you want to make? What does a fulfilling life look like for you?
Exactly. Once you have that clear vision, you can start to craft a plan to achieve it. And this is where those practical aspects of financial literacy come into play. Budgeting, saving, investing, managing debt, all those essential tools that we've been discussing.
So it's about taking those big dreams and breaking them down into those actionable steps. It might feel overwhelming at first, but remember, it's a journey. It's not a race.
Absolutely. And it's okay to start small. Maybe it's setting up a budget for the first time, or automating your savings, or just committing to learning more about investing.
Yeah, every step you take, no matter how small, it's a step in the right direction.
Precisely. And as you gain knowledge and experience, you'll find that your confidence grows and that path to financial freedom becomes clearer.
And remember, you don't have to go it alone.
Oh, absolutely not.
There are resources available, people who can guide you, communities that can support you.
Yeah.
Reach out, ask questions, and embrace the journey.
That's such an important reminder. Financial literacy is not a solo mission. It's about connecting with others, sharing knowledge, and building a community of support.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive. We've explored the what, the why, and the how of financial literacy. We've touched on the emotional and societal implications as well.
It's been a truly fascinating exploration, and I hope our listeners walking away with some really valuable insights and practical takeaways.
Absolutely. Before we wrap things up, I want to bring it back to our listener and their specific situation. They shared some articles and resources that highlight their interest in real estate investing. I think this could be a great opportunity to connect the dots between those broad concepts we've discussed and their individual goals.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let's tailor this final segment to their specific interests and see how those principles of financial literacy can be applied to real estate investing.
Perfect. Now, I know our listener has been exploring the idea of rental properties as a way to build passive income and long-term wealth. What are some key things they should consider before diving into the world of real estate investing?
Well, that's a great goal. And rental properties can certainly be a lucrative investment strategy. But it is essential to go in with a clear understanding of the potential risks and rewards. One of the first things our listeners should do is assess their current financial situation. Do they have a solid financial foundation? Are they comfortable with the level of risk that's involved in real estate investing?
So it's about making sure that their financial house is in order before adding another property to the mix.
Exactly. It's also crucial to understand the local real estate market. Are property values rising or falling in the area they're considering? What are the typical rental rates? What are the vacancy rates? All of these factors will impact their potential return on investment.
It sounds like a lot of research is required.
There is, but it's essential to make informed decisions. And speaking of informed decisions, let's not forget about the power of due diligence. Thoroughly vetting potential properties, getting professional inspections, and understanding those legal aspects of real estate transactions are all crucial steps to protect their investment.
So it's not just about finding a property you love, it's about making sure it's a sound financial decision.
That's right. And while real estate investing can be a great way to build wealth, it's not without its challenges. Our listeners should be prepared for, unexpected expenses, potential vacancies, and even difficult tenants.
So it's important to have a realistic outlook and be prepared for the ups and downs that come with being a landlord.
Absolutely. And remember, real estate investing is a long-term game. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It requires patience, persistence, and a willingness to ride out those market fluctuations.
And that brings us back to the importance of financial literacy. It's not just about knowing how to crunch the numbers. It's about having the mindset, the knowledge, and the skills to make informed decisions and navigate the complexities of the financial world, whether it's budgeting, investing, or even becoming a real estate mogul.
Well said. Financial literacy is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuous learning, adapting, and evolving as we navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Well, my friend, it feels like we've come full circle in our deep dive into financial literacy. We've explored the definition, the benefits, the consequences, the resources, and even the emotional and societal complexities.
It's been a truly enriching conversation, and I hope our listener has found it valuable and insightful.
Absolutely. We've learned that financial literacy is not just about numbers, it's about empowerment, choice, and ultimately freedom. It's about creating a life that is both financially secure and deeply fulfilling.
And as we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a final thought-provoking question. What does financial freedom mean to you? And what steps can you take today to start building it? Remember, knowledge is power, and financial literacy is the key to unlocking a brighter financial future.
So go forth, dear listener, and embrace the journey of financial empowerment. We'll be back soon with more deep dives on topics that matter to you. Until then, may your financial journey be filled with purpose, abundance, and joy. So we just explored some key things to consider when venturing into real estate investing. It definitely sounds like a path that requires, careful planning and a lot of research, but it could offer some pretty huge rewards down the line.
Oh, for sure, definitely. And it really does highlight how financial literacy isn't just like a one-and-done thing. It's about applying those core principles to every financial decision you make, whether it's choosing a credit card or evaluating a potential investment property.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. So let's bring it back to the big picture for our listener. They've shared resources that touch on various aspects of personal finance, everything from budgeting and saving to investing and retirement planning. What are some key takeaways they can glean from all of this to really achieve those financial goals?
Well, I think a recurring theme we've seen throughout this whole deep dive is the importance of intentionality. It's not enough to just kind of hope for the best when it comes to your finances. You really have to be proactive. You have to set those clear goals and make conscious choices that align with those goals.
So it's about taking the reins and being the architect of your own financial future rather than just kind of letting things happen to you.
Exactly. And that starts with understanding your values, your priorities. What's truly important to you? What kind of life do you want to create? Once you have a clear sense of your goals, then you can start to develop a financial plan that actually supports those aspirations.
So it's like having a financial roadmap.
Yeah.
Guiding you toward your desired destination.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And along that journey, there are bound to be some detours and some roadblocks. And that's where financial literacy comes in. It really equips you with that knowledge, those skills to kind of navigate those challenges, make informed decisions, and stay on track toward your goals.
Now, we've talked a lot about the importance of taking action, but it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the information out there. Where can our listener go to find, reliable guidance and support as they embark on this financial journey?
One of the really great things about the digital age is that there are just so many resources available at our fingertips. There are tons of books and podcasts, websites, and even online courses dedicated to personal finance. The key is to find resources that resonate with you and provide actually actionable advice, advice that you can actually implement.
So it's about curating your own financial education library, choosing resources that fit your learning style, your specific needs.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of community. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on that path of financial growth. Join online forums, attend workshops, or even just start a money book club with friends.
Oh, that's a great idea. Sharing that knowledge and those experiences with others, it can make the journey a lot more enjoyable and a lot less intimidating.
Absolutely. And remember, financial literacy is not a one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one person may not work for another. It's about finding those strategies and tools that resonate with you and that fit your unique circumstances.
So it's about experimenting, learning, and adapting as you go. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to something we discussed earlier, the emotional side of money. Our listener shared some articles that really delve into the psychology of spending and saving, which suggests they're already thinking about this really important aspect of financial well-being.
That's fantastic. And it's something I can't emphasize enough. Our emotions play a huge role in our financial decisions, often subconsciously. And if we can become more aware of those patterns, those beliefs, we can start to make more conscious, more intentional choices.
So it's not just about managing money, it's about managing our relationship with money.
Exactly. And that might involve challenging those limiting beliefs we've inherited about wealth, worthiness, or scarcity. It might involve seeking professional guidance from a financial therapist or coach who can help us unpack those emotional roadblocks and develop healthier financial habits.
As we're talking about this, it strikes me that financial literacy isn't just a set of skills or knowledge. It's It's a mindset,
Mm.
right? It's about approaching our finances with curiosity, a willingness to learn, and a belief that we can create a brighter financial future for ourselves.
I couldn't agree more. It's about shifting from that place of fear, of scarcity, to a place of empowerment, of abundance. And that shift can have a really profound impact on every aspect of our lives.
Well, my friend, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored the ins and outs of financial literacy, from those practical tools and strategies to the emotional and societal implications.
It's been a truly enriching conversation, and I hope our listener is feeling inspired, empowered to take control of their financial journey.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with this final thought. Financial literacy is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about taking those small, consistent steps towards a more secure and fulfilling financial future.
And remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. What step will you take today?
That's a great question to ponder. We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive, and we look forward to exploring more fascinating topics with you soon.
If this podcast helped you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep making these videos. Thanks for watching.